So I blinked and it's now December. Hi everyone. Welcome back to Calling Feather's channel and its very irregular schedule. I'm Ren. This is the Calling Feather. This is Real Penguin. He's back from last time. And we have a new addition. This is Ami. She's a Sylveon. We got her from Japan. I'll talk about that later. And yeah, let's do a little update because the last time you saw us, it was August, and we made some. I don't know about if they were promises or if they were just grand goals that we just didn't follow through on. But where we left off is this the Artist Way Part 2? No, it is not. Cause does anyone remember why we started the Artist Way? Cause I don't remember if I even talked about it. I'm sure I did. It has to do with burnout. So what ended up happening was that I had a full creative crash out like right afterwards. And the thing is I was like, oh yeah, we should do the Artist Way to help fix my burnout. And it's not like it necessarily like contributed to it, but it definitely made it more apparent. First of all, I don't know if you watched the last video, but I've been kind of in this weird artist identity crisis for the past like 14 years. And I've been keeping count because it's gotten so ridiculous because it's kind of cyclical. But because it's cyclical, I can't necessarily say it's ever ended. And it's not like this is like a second or a third burnout. This is like the first burnout, but it's just kind of been recurring. So I've been having this identity crisis for the past 14 years. And I think they just kind of came to a head now that it's been so long. And I think this year I finally did sort of address a lot of the things that were bothering me. So, like, let's start with writing. Writing's a little bit weird because if you didn't know, you probably don't know. I studied English in school. I actually got like my degree in English, lit, and also writing. So yeah, it's like when you say you're a writer, it's like what do you think of? It's like oh, you're a novelist, or it's like you're a nonfiction writer, or like oh, you're like a fan fiction writer, and like those are all legitimate forms of writing, but also I think the main emphasis for those is like you write long things. And I guess I had gotten in my head that the only way you could be a real writer is if you like decide to write long form things. And it's not like I didn't try. Like when I was a kid, I would always come up with stories and stuff. And like this is before like I even met Mitsu and we even like started collaborating in high school. But when I was like a little kid, I would think of stories and I would like be like, oh, okay, I like this idea. Or I would think of like some characters and put them in like a situation. And like I would think of the beginning and I would think of like the ending and I would know like a lot of what went into it, like let's say like a power system or like how the world works or like the themes I wanted to work with. But whenever I sat down to actually write like a long form, like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 type of thing, I always like never finished. I would never go on long enough to see it through. And it would always end up just being like this weirdly typed out summary where like I knew exactly what I wanted to happen, but I just couldn't really like pull it together. And I'm not sure, like, at the time I thought, okay, maybe this is like a problem of discipline, or maybe this is like a problem of like, I don't really know how to do this yet, so like, maybe I should read more or practice more or whatever. But every time I would practice, it was like, I had more interest in writing like some individual like segments, but none of them really like fit together. Like like a puzzle. They would just be like sort of like one-offs. And I know for a fact that like when I did writing in college, my one-off things, or like the things that were more thematic or more like symbolic or more like contained, were the things that people found really interesting and that I found interesting to write. So I was like, oh, okay, wait, if I like take this and I make it bigger, which is like not logical at all when you think about it, because like short stories are a thing and I do like short stories, and I think I did always do better with short form writing. But I felt like the way I wanted to like construct a story never fit into that idea of like short form but like multiple parts or whatever. Um so yeah, I got stuck on this idea of like, oh, I should learn how to write a novel, but every attempt I've made has always fallen short. Even like in like our deleted video when we talked about like our NaNoWriMo thing. Even that, I was like, I would write parts of it and like I would like some of the individual parts, but I could never like get myself to move past a certain point because like maybe it was like the exposition got a little bothersome, or like I felt like, especially like now with how we work together, since a lot of those like stories were supposed to be like with an illustration, it's it's hard to figure out like how much you're supposed to write in like the description of like say a building or a scene. You have to think about, is this too much detail where if I write it this way, it does it contradict the image, or like does it seem like you're talking down to your audience by like holding their hand too much, by doing the like the prose for it and the visual? Is it going to disrupt like how they think of it if you do both? Because it, I think there is a value in letting the reader figure out what they want to see just with words, but there is also a value in showing them what you see and have them interpret from there. So I think I just had to accept that maybe this isn't the right time for me to do novels. Maybe I'm just not like a novel person. I mean, maybe that's just what it is. I'm not good at long form writing and I just need to accept that. And I think I'm like starting to experiment more with some other like methods of it. And I grew to really resent like writing, especially long form. So now I'm like, okay, well now I can actually lean into some of the things I was good at or that I liked more. So I'm gonna experiment more with like short form and kind of accompaniments with artwork. Oh, that's a good segue actually into the art part. So, I guess like a lot of other creative people, I started drawing when I was a very small child. I remember drawing ever since I was like 3. Much like how with like my stories in my head, I would kind of know what I wanted to do. Sometimes the execution's a little rough because like when you're first starting out, a lot of your artwork's gonna look kind of not as you want it to, and you just have to stick with it and rough it out until it gets to somewhere you want it to be. And I think one of the big things when I was growing up was like the internet was like kind of new, not like brand new, but new as in I grew up with like the internet. The internet was also growing up with me. So we would have websites where you could learn how to draw, and it would be like those tutorials where it's like, oh, you have to draw like a circle and then a bunch of lines and then you'll get an anime head. I remember those, and being really frustrated by those drawing guides for a long time. And it's so interesting now because I don't really use like those kinds of guides anymore. But when I was growing up, like we also had the introduction of digital art and it being more accessible to like regular, degular people. So at one point I was like, oh, I should learn how to use like a tablet because that would make the process a lot easier. And up until then, I had still like done a lot of drawing just on paper. I used to like draw on like white legal pads that my mom had, or like printer paper. She tried to get me some sketchbooks, but I found out very quickly that I hate ring bound sketchbooks because I never really filled them out. But I would monopolize her legal pads. Um, I think at first I thought that digital art would help fix some of the problems I had with traditional art, which is like I would try to ink with Sharpie, and it would turn out ugly, and I'd be so disappointed because it's like when you line art your one drawing that you thought was nice and then you mess it up, it's very discouraging. And then like whenever I tried to color things, they would also turn out ugly because I had no grasp of like color theory or like what colors look nice together. And I would always be like, ugh, if I put down this color, it's permanent. But the thing with digital is that like the joke is like with digital you can undo. You can like start over very easily and you don't feel like your your feelings are hurt by the fact that it didn't work out. Little did I know that this was actually really stunting, I guess, my creative juices. And I did kind of go back to it a little bit in high school where I would scan like a drawing and finish it on the computer. And I think that was probably the best that I had it for a long time. And then I think kind of like with like the writing thing, I got it into my head that like the best way that I could like improve and stuff and like actually I guess figure out how I want to draw is if I do the thing that everyone else did. So like I'm not like talking about anyone in particular, but I think a lot of like the really popular artists back then, like you know, old YouTube, you go onto YouTube, you would just type in like speed paints and it's always people doing speed paints in Paint Tool Sai or Photoshop. And I thought, okay, I'm sure that might be an easier way to improve. Um, Again, little did I know that would also stunt my development because I remember always being super frustrated that I never felt like my artwork was improving. And like, I think it technically was, but it was definitely not in the ways or at the rate that I thought that I was capable of. And I think the thing with that is like, I know that when I'm interested in something, I can grasp it very much. So it's always weird to me when I'm just like, I don't understand why, despite how much I draw digitally, I feel like I'm still like kind of stagnating. Um, and I think it just took me a long time to realize that maybe the problem wasn't actually the fact that I wasn't improving. Maybe it was simply that I wasn't doing the right medium. So, yeah, so this left me in a very weird spot. Um, I guess a little after August, when we uploaded the last video, I was kind of like in this place where I was like, I don't really want to write and I don't really want to draw, but we still have some like drawings to finish. Um, and I don't remember what exactly it was, but oh no, I remember what it was. Ever since 2023, Mitsu and I got back into like sketchbooking, and I remember at one point, um, I think we were just like doing a regular sketchbooking exercise or something. We would just like sit and draw whatever. And I was looking at what I just finished, and I was like, oh my god, this looks much better than anything I've drawn like digitally in a long time. Because up until now, I I guess I can admit this. I've been very dissatisfied with how like my side of all of our drawings like would come out. So whenever like we did any character centered art, and uploads, I would like get to the point in working on it where I'd be like, this has to be good enough. And I would just rely on her to like make the coloring so good that you wouldn't notice all of like the weird parts of what I had to do. But like I was just sitting and I was looking at the drawing I did in my sketchbook, and I was like, oh, I actually feel a sense of satisfaction with this. This is a little bit weird. Like I haven't felt any satisfaction from like anything I've drawn in a long time. So it was very foreign to me, and I was like, wait, have I been doing this wrong the whole time? Because when you do the math, well, you don't know how old I am, but when you do the math, my age minus 14 puts me in high school. And that was the last time I wasn't super burnt out from creativity. So I was like, do I have to scan things? And the thing is that we didn't actually have a scanner. We have one now. I'll introduce you to the scanner in like a little bit. But we didn't have a scanner. We had like the camera that we're currently filming this video on. When we were like, okay, let's do a test. And Mitsu was like, do you have any other like traditional drawings that you liked? And I was like, okay, yeah, there is. There's one that I drew in her sketchbook. And I was like, okay, let's take a picture of it. And we'll try to like draw it and finish it before we leave for Japan. That didn't end up happening. But it kind of helped ease us into like a process of some kind. And then I was like, wait, what if I redraw all of the references traditionally? And this is also a piece of callingfeather lore that you're not aware of. So we have this running joke between me and Mitsu, where every year I have to redraw all the references because the ones from the previous year are ugly as sin. So every year, kind of too late in the year usually, I start redrawing as many people as I can. So I was like, okay, we're leaving for Japan in 3 weeks. Let me try to knock out at least the 10 that we need before we go. And I did. But I looked through all of them and I was like, oh, everyone looks normal, aka they look as they're supposed to, and they're not like off model. Cause like I always had this trouble where the reason like I would have to redraw them every year is because they looked off model to me, which is like they don't look right. But now they did, and I was like, okay, here's the plan. We're gonna go to Japan, we're gonna have a great time, we're gonna come back, we're gonna get a scanner, and then we're gonna scan the references. And then we're gonna digitize them. And then we're gonna figure out what to do afterwards. The bad news is that I haven't actually scanned any of the references yet. But the good news is, if you've been following us on Instagram and Kara, we did upload 2 new drawings. And they were both made with this idea of I would draw my part on paper, we would scan it, and then we would finish it on the computer. So, I'm gonna show you a comparison. Well, Mitsu will, because she'll be editing the video. But on, let's say, on this side of the screen, will be the old one. The one that I drew before we left for Japan. And then on this side will be the new one. The one that I drew after we came back, with some tools, a new sense of self, and a new sense of inspiration. You can decide if you think they looked any different. I think there's a big improvement. Mitsu thinks there's a big improvement. So we're going to go forward with this new method. And maybe, hopefully, either my burnout will go away finally before I reach year 15, or at least this part of my burnout will be more manageable, and I won't feel as crazy about my artist identity crisis. But let me introduce you to our scanner. Let me move some of our friends. Alright. Fits under my desktop stand. Okay, so this is our scanner. It is an Epson Perfection V39-2. This is not a sponsored video. I wish. But we bought this with our own money. A funny story is like one of Mitsu's really close friends has, I think, the same scanner. And when they were talking about like the fact that we got the scanner, her friend was like, "I'm so surprised you didn't get one earlier." And Mitsu was like, "Well, the thing is that both Ren and I thought that scanners were super expensive because I don't think she's ever had a scanner. But the last time we bought a scanner, like my family, it was like 2005. So my perception of how expensive these things are was very skewed." But yeah, we put some stickers. I'll talk about the stickers in a different video though, so stay tuned. Get back in there. Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about Japan. Okay, how did we end up in Japan? Let me take you back a few months. Let me take you back 10 months. So in February, we just were like, hey, we haven't gone on a vacation in a long time. Actually, we haven't gone on a vacation together by ourselves, ever. So, we looked at some flights and we settled on October. So I told my cousin, hi, we're gonna come in October, around this time and this time. And she was like, oh, that's a great idea. You guys can stay with me. Thank you so much for hosting us. But there's also one event that we can go to together. It's stationery related. And I was like, oh, okay, what is it? Pelican Hubs. And I was like, what is Pelican Hubs? And she said, basically it's like an event that Pelican, like the German company, hosts every year or so, in certain cities once they like take a poll. And it's kind of like you come, you hang out with other people who are into fountain pens and stuff, and yeah, it's a fun time. So we were like, okay, we'll sign up for it. We'll sign up for it in August, and in August we can like catch up and maybe talk about some plans. So when we last left you guys in August, that's kind of what happened. We had a call, we were like, okay, we'll have an idea of where we want to go up in Tohoku. We'll sign up for Pelican Hub so that we can get like the event in Tokyo. It'll be great. And then September happened and we were like, we never picked where we wanted to go in Tohoku. And then we did eventually pick. We decided to go to Sendai, where one of our friends actually knows the area. And also because we wanted to go to a stationery store in Yamagata. But we were also like, we need to find another place to stay. So we did all that in September. But while we were doing that, my cousin texted me again and was like, oh, by the way, the weekend you leave, right before, Tips is happening. And I was like, Tips? What do you mean Tips? And we looked it up and I was like, there's no way it's the Tokyo International Pen Show. It was the Tokyo International Pen Show. So lo and behold, we ended up being so lucky as to go to both Pelican Hubs, which is a, more intimate event, and Tips, which is like a huge stationery event, because we didn't actually get to go to one this year. Our friend had invited us to go to the SF Pen Show, but since we already knew that we were going to Japan, we had to like save up money for it. So we couldn't go, but we went to Tips instead. So, the second half of October we spent in stationery heaven, and yeah, it was a great trip. We hung out a lot with my cousin and her family, we made some new friends, and we got a lot of inspiration, and a lot of art supplies. So, you guys will see this in the next video, but we bought a lot of our, like, stationery and journaling things that we needed in Japan to avoid like having to pay all the upcharges and tariffs. I have no idea what we're gonna do next year, but we were very fortunate this year. And yeah, so what did we do in Japan? Well, we spent a lot of time in cafes, eating cake, and walking 6 miles every day, uh, eating. Yeah, the eating cake comes from we showed one of our friends when we got like home pictures of our trip, and she was like, the main impression you get from the pictures is that you just like ate a lot. And I was like, yeah, we ate very well, like every day, and we ate some very very good food. There are a lot of like places I want to go back to, and a lot of places that like my cousin recommended. So if you are going to Tokyo at any point, I have a few of the recommendations that she gave us that were really good, and I think you should check it out. But yeah, we spent a lot of time like being inspired, and like we wrote postcards back home. A few of them didn't seem to make it, unfortunately. They probably got eaten by the US Postal Service. Not that it's like the Postal Service's fault, but you know, it just happens. Um, and yeah, we got a few other things that were not stationery related or art related, because we were like, oh, it's kind of nice that we're not like chained to our phones, because like it was so nice to just not have to deal with that and just have to take out my phone just to navigate, or tell my cousin like, we're gonna be home for dinner, or do you have a recommendation? I have no idea where we are. But yeah, it was nice. It was a nice trip. But we got a couple of things that we found there. I guess I'll introduce you to another plushie that lives on my desk now. So this is Ami. And this is Risa. If you follow us, you will also know that Risa is the name of one of our original characters. And Risa doesn't look like this. She looks like this. This is just an inside joke and a running gag that, like, some of our OCs, we also associate them with Pokemon. So, this is Risa. We picked her up first when we walked into the Shibuya Pokemon Center. And we were walking around with the Vulpix plushie and, like, something else. I don't remember at the moment. And then I lock eyes with this Sylveon plushie. And people who know us know that we are big fans of Sylveon and Umbreon. Here's our Sylveon Poke Doll, and here's our Umbreon Poke Doll. Probably from like how I tell stories about the two of us, you can probably guess who is usually associated with who. But I was like, oh no, she's so cute. I can't buy this. And Mitsu was like, yes you can. And I was like, but I was like, no, I can't. She's too big and she's too much yen. And she was like, but you're gonna regret it if we walk out of this store and you're gonna be thinking about this plushie. So then we walk around the store, and then I passed the shelf again, and I was like, yeah, you're so right. So then, yeah, we ended up buying a giant Sylveon plushie. What else did we find that was not like stationary really? Oh, little known fact about me. I'm a Bleach fan. And I found a ton of Renji stuff. Here's one of the things. It's a little wooden stand. Yeah, I did very well as a Renji fan. And then I bought one volume from Book Off. So Book Off is, it's, I guess a second-hand store where you can, you know, buy books, manga, DVDs, CDs, all that kind of stuff. It's very affordable. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna pick a volume that I can't read yet, it should at least be one that has some significant scenes in it. Unfortunately, the ones I was originally thinking of were already taken or they weren't there. Like, for example, one of the scenes I was looking for was when Orihime leaves. I mean, I do have that in like a Shonen Jump magazine that I found at a thrift store here locally, which was very strange, but thank you. Another scene I wanted to find was any of the like Ulquiorra fight, but unfortunately, there was actually like nothing with Ulquiorra in it. And then the last one I was looking for was The Blade Is Me, but again, people do have taste in like the Bleach community, so that was not a book off. But I bought volume 63, which has this freaking guy on it. Asnod, I hate this guy. But I picked this one because it heavily features Renji. And if I could find the page, we have Rukia's Bankai. I'm also a huge Renji Rukia fan, so that made me very happy. So there's that. We found that. Some Bleach stuff. We also found, so you know the artist for this calendar? We found a ton of his artwork. Apparently around the time we arrived, he had a collaboration with Afternoon Tea. So that was actually the first store we went to with my cousin. This was a tea tin. But we also bought a bunch of like enamel pins, a book of his artwork, and several postcards. They're just scattered throughout like our home now. But this little tin just has like stuff for the scanner because now the scanner is like a big part of our process. So that was also a nice find. But yeah, it was a great trip. We hope to go back at some point, and yeah, I feel very rejuvenated, even though I'm like, you know, we're back in reality and the time is moving so quickly now. It's probably a new year, but hopefully the new year will be much better to us and to you and everyone. Sorry, we lost some footage somehow. I'm not really sure how or why, but thanks for watching our video. We hope to see you in the next one. And you can follow us on Instagram, Tumblr, and Kara at callingfeather. Oh, and bluesky. We don't currently have any other social media, but yeah, you can follow us there, follow our artwork, and yeah, hopefully next year will go a lot better. Bye!